be the third war report. This is going to stretch from the 12th of June till 16th of June. This is to cover Goons versus Horde in the north, which is in some other cache, Ethereum Reach essentially at this point, and also in the south, which is Delve and Quirios. There's also been some stuff going on in the in-between, mainly just opportunistic kills and one answer Wex loss that I've found. I had a little bit of feedback around sound, microphones, so we've got a desk cam this time. I've turned up the receiving side of it. I don't think it's making pops. Maybe it's fixed, who knows, we'll see. Let's move straight on to this. So, we've got in Smother here. I'm having a bit of a weird problem with my video capture. Let's see if I can just fix that and get it back for you. Ooh. Me all the way down here, out of the way, so you can see what's going on. So in Smother here, I've put the sovereignty up first of all, so you can see that all of the sovereignty is now gone to Goons. If we look back at what it was on the last report, to just load up for you now. What doesn't want to load? Try again. There we go. You can see that Horde had a load of stuff contested, that's all now gone. Mohist had some stuff contested, that's gone. Still Reconnaissance had some stuff contested, that's gone. If we look here, we've got SOB, which I need to actually just double check who that is. Let's have a quick look. So SOB is Sons of Bane, so they've been given this little pocket here, and then the rest of it's gone to Condi, which is Goons, basically. If we look, that's the old one. If we look here, this is the activity defense multiplier, so you can see that they won't have huge scores because they've not lived there very long. You need to live there for a while for it to get the score up, but they also have not really been ratting or living there. You can see little bits are high. EFM's quite high, so maybe they've done some work on EFM in particular to make it hard to entosis, but really loads of other space is not very high ADMs. So they've not managed to move in fully, is what I'm trying to say with that. They're not living there. They're still living in their main areas, which is fine. And then this is cache, which they said they were moving to C-J so they could infiltrate and attack cache. They've killed 2 ansiblexes here and a few small structures, but there's not done any sovereignty work yet. So that's kind of general overview of the map. If we look at the report itself, we can see that there has been some announcements, some strategic announcements. So Goons on the 14th, Asher said that Goons are going to fully be staging into CJ for the future. They're basically going to attempt to be the front of Goons, which is what they've said they were going to do for a while now. So they're going to really commit to that, even more than they have already. And they're going to be 5 jumps from Ethereum Reach, which is kind of where Horde is staged right now. And they're going to abandon Delve and Quirios, which is the big part of the announcement, really. I mean, they are in C-Tech-J, so it's not really any huge change. It's interesting to say that they're committing to it, but it's not a big change physically. But the Delve and Quirios is a big change physically. They said they've got 7 days, and it's led to the typical evacuation panic that always happens, and we'll see that later in the report. There's loads of things exploding. The next day, Gobbins posted a large announcement informing Pandemic Horde of this, acknowledging that this is a very positive move from Goons for us and them. It's going to cause more fights, make the game more vibrant and alive, and people have things to do, which is great. States that Horde will rely on the defender's advantage as Goons have the numbers advantage, and states that Goons are going to be the biggest block on the server at the moment. We're second, so it's a good thing that we're fighting each other. He'd prefer that Goons will come and attack us than anyone else, and I think that's all quite positive messaging. There was also some congratulations to the SIGs that were pressuring Delve and Quirios for over a year now. People who've left the Alliance were also congratulated, like the Nalani and the various different SIG leaders and FCs. There's also been an address of the point, because a lot of chatter in Horde, always, there's a big alliance, there's loads of chat, and there's been a chatter about Fraternity hitting our peripheral holdings, the stuff right on the edge of our space, typically on the other side that the Goons are attacking us and destroying things. And he's pointed out that the Imperium are having similar attacks by Fraternity and in it, and it's a selfie sign that the reset is working. And then for the following bit of the report, we're going to split it into things that have exploded in the north, things that have exploded in the south, and then I'm just going to have a smorgasbord of battle reports lower down, which is just anything above like a billionist, 2 billionist that just seemed relevant to the situation. Like if it's stuff evacing or stuff like that. There's loads of stuff I didn't include, and I haven't done, to be like completely open, I haven't looked at MJ Tac or like Horde ratting and done that, because this is not really ratters who are dying, it's just people moving stuff, and ratters dying is kind of the day-to-day of Eve. It's just normal. But you know, people trying to live in Innsmother, I find interesting. If they're dying, they're trying to rat and live in Innsmother rather than just be a deployment. That's kind of a new thing, and they're suffering for that. You can see the Z kills for that, and then also you can see the Z kills of like the people who are trying to jump on them. Sometimes they're dying as well, which is really interesting. There's a lot of little conflicts, and then all the guys trying to get out of Delve and Quirios are just exploding everywhere. So the first one here was 20 bill loss for Goons and 2.2 bill loss for Horde, mostly tackle ships, which suggests Goons were trying to extract. This was basically a fleet of battlecruisers came into Horde staging over the Ansiblex, over the regional gate, which we know is a very large distance. There's no real way to reinforce directly. They killed a load of the bubbles. We set a big bubble screen up around that gate, and then Horde undocked a very large battleship fleet and used supercarriers, and I think even Titans were involved at some points. And basically, yeah, Goons just had to extract and run, so they lost 20 bill, which was maybe a test from them. Maybe they were seeing what the response would be from Horde, and obviously they learned they're still relatively big. Then on the 13th, Horde went to catch, which is kind of in the route between Goons, where they fully live and have all their PvE stuff already set up, and Innsmother, and they killed a final timer on a Grandfather Ansiblex. Grandfather Ansiblex are Ansiblexes that are on gate grids. In the future, they can't be on gate grids, and I think there's some rules about structures. Basically, they have to kind of be off on their own. So killing them means that now that system, if you were to put another Ansiblex down, it has to be in that new rule set. They did this with Kikimoras and lost a big chunk of them, so they lost 8 billion ISK. Goons lost 8 billion ISK, and Horde lost 15 billion ISK for this fight, so it's a ISK war win for Goons. And the Goons defended with Tengus and Flycatchers, which is a good combo. Both of those ships can outrange Kikimoras, and are fast enough to keep out of the way as well, I believe. Horde uses Alpha Alts to defend for the first time in forever. So they have used this before, but they use this, and it's to stop, I think, initiative on some aggression versus a part of Horde space that's a bit tricky to get to. So we can install the alpha clones there. Goons do this, or have done this for Delve. You install the alpha clone, and you have like a Ferox or something like that, and you just log that in for the little fight, and then put it back and log it back off and go back onto your main account. So it's an idea to kind of reduce the amount of movement you have to do with your main characters, and just use numbers to win, basically. There was a little skirmisher fleet. The Tornadoes went off into the Goon staging and killed 4 billion ISK of Goons to 500 mil of Horde. It's very typical skirmish stuff. I'd like to report on the skirmish stuff because it's my gameplay loop that I like. I like the skirmish stuff. 6 bill of Goon Marauders dead to kitchen sink. Horde Mohis Chinese fleet. Again, this is in their staging. This is... I'm not going to see the Goon version of this, because that we never get those battle reports reported in Horde, and they're really difficult to see without like trawling through Zkill looking for like the indications that there's a fleet hunting in an area. It's kind of tricky. It takes a lot. It's possible, but it takes way too much time for me to figure out. So I'm just going to include the Horde perspective of what these fights are and just be honest about the results that got reported. So Goon skirmish fleet baited Horde small FC into a fight. So this was, I think they were fighting inside our staging with small stuff, and then they had a Falcon ready on the other side, and then once the small stuff from Horde moved into bigger stuff, they pushed a Flycatcher fleet in, which led to a strategic ping for Ferrets Navy issues, and Horde managed to overwhelm them back. So this is like the escalation dynamic of Eve. One side gets more, then the other side gets more again. Quite a close one. The 3.3 bill loss for Goons, 2.4 for Horde, so a nice little skirmish there, and good for the newer FCs to get a bit of practice. I assume that the Goon FC wasn't particularly super experienced as well, because he took very nimble mobile force and still kind of lost quite a lot of it. In the south, I started off by putting no real fleet fights, because there haven't been really any fleet fights between Goons and Brave and Horde, but there have actually been huge fights down here, and I didn't realise, so that sentence is probably not true. So there was a huge fight versus the Russian group down here. So this Russian group has been attacking Brave, and then Horde have been kind of third partying and attacking them, and vice versa. And it always seems to be that the Russians and Horde are shooting Brave, but potentially that's just because the other side is backing off. And what happened here was, I think there was a Fortizar timer that one of the sides were reinforcing. I think maybe a Brave one, and the other side jumped on them, and it just got crazy escalated, and they went into a dread fight versus Russians versus Horde. So it was a 74 bill loss for Horde and 170 bill for the Russians. So huge big dread pool. A lot of people really enjoy that kind of content. There wasn't a huge amount of pilots, so I don't think there was tie-dye, so it's just a big fast dread ball. Imperium lose 24 bill of structures with a no contest, so that's just some structure kills, which is kind of part of the next bit, but yeah, put it in there as well. And then this is another weird thing that's been propping up on these, is that there's a Minmatar fleet group in Dalv area, and they were fighting actually in the Iridia low sec next to Dalv, and they were with Horde. So there was 54 bill lost for the Russians and 92 bill lost for Horde. So the Russians kind of pulled it back a little bit from their first fight. They got another 40 bill chunk onto that, so they're nearly equal. So again, they dropped dreads again, and so there's these big brawls for some reason. So it's just fun. And then Horde versus Brave. There's a little fight here, basically. 3 bill loss for Horde, 3.7 bill for Brave. This might be one of the last fleet engagements that they have in Delve against each other. And it was Horde, Ferrex Navy Issues versus Brave Ravens and Ferrex Navy Issues. So it's 2 fleets for Brave, so there's a big numbers advantage there. And then the Russians are on the Z kill in a small fleet of tornadoes. And then this is kind of the mental stuff that happens when an evac happens. Just so much stuff exploding. Not all of this is in Delve and Quirios. Some stuff is in the north. I'm going to put this into the description of the, or into a message or a description in the YouTube, so you can actually just click through and go through them yourself. But I'm just going to show you a few of these battle reports. So this was the push from Goons with their Vulture fleet into us, into Horde, and then Horde responding with a massive upship, basically just battleships. They got the Maelstroms in there as well, which is a new doctrine. They've got the Tornadoes in there. They've got a Harpy fleet in there and a Retribution fleet. So this is multiple fleets, just absolutely smashing them. And you can see on the timeline for this one that it's basically Goons are just they're killing the bubbles, having a great time, and then they're just suddenly switching to, oh crap, we've got to kill all this tackle, so they're killing tackle. They jump through back into, they jump away into SAH, which is actually the wrong way for them to go. And then again, they're killing tackle, and then it kind of finishes up in SAH, and a load of pods dying in GTAQ. So yeah, I don't know where they went from SAH. I assume they just ran, because they're not all dead, but yeah, that was that one. And then this is the Kikimora fight. Yeah, this is the Ansiblex Kikimora fight versus the Grandfather Ansiblex. Muskie took a load of Kikimoras through a wormhole, I think. Had a big fight. And you can see that the Kikimoras die super fast. Like, look at the time between these. That's 1 minute long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6 or 7 Kikis in a minute. Same again. It's so fast when Kikimoras start popping. This is Catch again. This is the Tornadoes, and it looks like Asher himself FC'd and lost quite a few First Navy issues, and looks like the only real losses were a non-connected group of Kikimoras, so the Tornadoes pretty much handled that one. I don't know this. It looks to me like that kind of fight with the Kikimoras, it looks to me like there was a structure involved as well, maybe, that they were trying to push. So they kind of had to get the FNIs onto the grid. This is just roaming stuff. This is a roaming gang from our Mohist, like a Chinese time zone alliance, and so a profane proverb who are a corporation in Horde, a Chinese time zone. They work together. They've got a little sig, and they went into Goons' new staging and killed some shiny stuff. People being stupid in staging again, as per the normal. Then we've got, this is Horde home. This is the Flycatchers jumping. That was this morning, I think. The Flycatchers jumping on there, killing some stuff, and then getting slapped for it. This is the huge dread fight in Dalv. Loads of Tech 1 dreads, and then they've got shinier dreads, which is probably why their kill reports are much bigger. And I assume that Horde won the field there. I mean, you've got Minmatar Fleet Alliance, but you've also got like PL in the same Tengus. So there's some kind of grouping up going on with Minmatar Fleet Alliance here, and the PL group, and then Horde in like a big F&I fleet. So some Stormbringers there, lots of different stuff going on there. This is all the structures they killed, just some Fortizar FNR. Oh, this is that last fight they had against each other. It didn't look like much of a fight, to be honest. It looked like everyone disengaged pretty quick. This is the Chinese Horde Alliance ally. Sorry. Looks like, I think they dropped a. I think this is an anti-cap dread. Hexa repeating cannons. I won't lie, I don't know. But they dropped this dread into Innsmother, and it died. Now, whether this is an evacing from Innsmother dread or whether they've done it for fun or combat, they're trying to kill this guy maybe. Not sure. But anyway, it's a dead Horde dread essentially. This is completely unconnected as far as I can tell from the war generally, but Brave managed to catch a super carrier in their space. Looking at this guy's Z kill, it looks like he lived in this system a long time ago, in like 2018, 2019, and then he's probably just logged back in and not known the mechanics of the game anymore and just died. This was the kill of the week probably for the war. This was a Brave taking a Stargate with a 74 billion-esque avalanche, which is just insane. You can Titan bridge these things, you can move all of these little components in much more smaller, more, you know, easily savable ships, so that was a big mistake. This is a Horde rental system in Cobalt Edge where somebody was using a raw core, which is kind of not advised, and Hard Knock citizens have come and killed them. Not really connected to the war, but it was a bigger kill in the area. I've just been scanning through the areas basically. And then this is another one of our Chinese groups trying to fight Fraternity with a subcat killing Fit Moros, and it not going very well for him, and until losing it to Nightmares. This is the last one. This was very recent, 14 hours ago, and this is just a side thing that, like, you know, they were still fighting other people's. This was a organised drop by PL, I believe, and then a few Horde guys joined in as well, and they dropped onto a Zenitra and got all these Bargus kills as well. So it's a nice 19 bill battle report there. That is pretty much all of the report this week. It's quite interesting with regards to Innsmother. Obviously, if Goons are going to live here, then they're just going to be around the corner from Horde. Horde can come in here, they can kind of roam around, they can come in from the top of the spire, they can come in from like all these different angles, they can come in from cache. So it could be quite a lot of combat around here. It could be quite a lot of fun. Let me know any feedback about the reports. We're going to try and work in like a little dedicated intro, like a Horde versus Goons intro, and just try and keep on top of it, just kind of keep the regular reports going. So yeah, thanks for watching. It's been loads of good feedback so far. I've been enjoying making them. They take a few hours to write down all of the different kills and things like that. I'm not really going to be tallying up stuff. Oh, I forgot to do the structures, so let's do the structures quickly. So this is the structure explosion. So Innsmother is still having quite a high rate of explosions. You can see 14 Athanors, 5 Metanoxes. 4 of these Metanoxes were Goon Metanoxes, so they've started to deploy them, and I think they're very vulnerable when they deploy, and you can kind of snap them in a first timer, potentially, or just the fact that their reinforcement time is very quick. So they've been dying. Maybe they've not been put onto the proper tracking thing so Goons can track them. Loads of after houses. These retirees, I assume, are Horde. So let's put the green ones are Horde, the purple is Goons. 2 more Fortizars died, and 2 more Tataras, and an Asbel. And then Delve had 1 Horde kind of affiliated Metanox, I think. And Astra House 2 Ansiblexes, so not much died in Delve recently. I think that's with the announcement. I think that the Horde SIGs are now on full reinforcement mode, and they're going to be doing similar to what happened in Innsmother. They're just going to be trying to reinforce everything and collect a load of kill mails while they're hunting all of the evac stuff as well. Quirios structures, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 Metanoxes and 1 for Horde. So it's funny that like in these wars nowadays we're just popping down Metanoxes just for like almost like trolling. And then 2 Astra Houses, both sides are doing that. Scalding Pass, 1 Horde one Goons Metanox exploded, so they tried to put down some stuff in Scalding Pass, and one of them's got killed. Cash had an Athanor and one of the Anseblex die, which is an addition to, I think they had an Anseblex last week die as well, so that's 2. And then 2 Athanors in the Spire, and a few, these were the Fraternity kills, so a few Metanoxes and an Astro House in Gemini. Okay, this time that is the whole report. Please let me know what you think about the reports and any feedback about the war in general, how you're enjoying it. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and I'll see you next time.